okay, somebody's a really good professional athlete, and then they're representing some other product. And why in the world do we think that because they're good at putting a basketball into the hoop, and that makes them good at, gosh, I don't know, recommending what car we drive? So good morning, Matt.
Morning, Zane. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm ready to go here. I want to relate. I had a gal come up to me at one of our gatherings. We were talking, and she said, "Dr. Zane, I don't know how you live, how you do, how you make the decisions you do." And so we got into a little conversation. What came out was she had grown up without any guidance, without any good role models, without anyone helping her make good decisions or even teaching her to make good decisions. And it made me stop. It made me, I guess, really in a humble way, feel very blessed that I grew up with really good parents. I grew up with, maybe just by luck, I had good people around me helping me make good decisions. And I had good role models. And I realized how important that was in my life and where it's allowed me to go, where it's taking me, if you will. And I realized, okay, not everyone has that. And it made me stop and actually changed what I was going to talk about. And we talked about role models for about the next 2 or 3 hours. And it made me, I guess, kind of understand how powerful choosing role models are. And so just looking at them, like what do we see today on, you name it, on social media or TV? We have, right. I mean, there's some kind of misnomer or some kind of misapplication of trust in role models where, okay, somebody's a really good professional athlete, and then they're representing some other product. And why in the world do we think that because they're good at putting a basketball into the hoop, and that makes them good at, gosh, I don't know, recommending what car we drive?
Or what pizza to eat?
Yeah, take Shaq. Shaq selling his pizzas. Why do we do that? And I think the thought is, well, they're really good at one thing, then we can trust them to be good at other things. And there should be a definite disconnect there, but there isn't. And so when I look back and go, okay, where do you get your ideas? Where do you get your decision-making process? Most of us, when we were young, got it from our parents, whether it was one parent or two parents, whatever, or maybe our relatives or our siblings, or if you had a big brother or big sister, you got it from whoever they hung out with because you were the younger person and you immediately wanted to somehow connect with, I don't know, your older brother's friends.
Sure.
And so you thought, well, somehow we don't even really stop and think, are they making good decisions? We just go along with their decisions. And that's what happens as we go through life. So when I do financial consults with people, I'll say, okay, where did you get your plan? Or the last one I did, I'm sorry I'm laughing. I hope this isn't too personal. He was on a bowling league, and he said, well, this guy I bowl with, we talk a lot. We talk every week about investments. And I said, okay, does he work for a financial, company? Is he an investment analyst or does,
what's his profession?
Yeah. And he says, oh no, he works in manufacturing. I said, no, wait a minute. So you're putting together an investment plan because you happen to bowl with this guy. And so it was just an example, but we don't stop, I guess. We don't consciously take and decide, okay, is this a good person to take advice from? Okay, they're good at one thing, but are they good at whatever I want to talk to them about? I realized not just, we talk about finances all the time, but lots of, how do we decide how to raise our kids?
Right.
It might be how we were raised.
Right.
And we talk about stopping problems with one generation. Don't pass it on to another. Well, typically kids learn from their parents. And it's it's next to impossible as a teenager maybe to realize my parents aren't that good at, fill in the blank, certain things. I haven't had the best guidance. So I'm going to consciously go outside of that. And this isn't to throw parents under the bus or even siblings, but say, I need to get someone who's really good at this. I want to get someone who's successful at whatever I'm looking for. So when we talk about finances, rather than talking to the guy in your bowling league or whoever your coworker is or someone like that, searching out and saying, okay, this person is very successful with their financial decisions. They've built a career. They've learned how to make these good decisions. Maybe I want to go hang out with them.
Yeah. To that end, so I did not grow up with parents that had a lot of money. And in fact, my parents got divorced, which further exacerbated our financial issues. But when I finally graduated and I started my tutoring business, and realized, okay, I want to get into real estate, right? This is something. I looked at all my clients, a lot of them were in real estate, and I realized, okay, this is obviously some kind of path to, I don't know how this path works, but a lot of these people are engaged in it and making money with it. What I then did is, as I went through meeting my different clients and engaging with their students, helping them with the SAT and stuff, there was one guy in particular, one student who started talking about the real estate work his dad did. And I took an interest in it and asked the dad if I could take him out to lunch. I went out to lunch with this guy and I was, I think, 23 at the time. And he's to this day, one of my dear friends, a real mentor and guide to me. And it was because I realized, hey, look, this guy seems to be doing this right. First off, he was home with his kid, right? So whenever I would go over to tutor the kid, the dad was there. So like, all right, this guy's not working like crazy or totally removed from his family. So that's good.
Right.
He had a level of success. He owned this building that was the biggest building in this small downtown, but it was just like 15, 20,000, old department store that he had converted into these other things. I was like, okay, so he's successful. He's at home. He's not, like 80 years old. Find out. I have no idea. I had no idea where the conversation was going to go, but I just said, hey, can I take you out to lunch?
Key is he was willing to speak with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so again, that was the thing. It wasn't the kind of thing where I only showed him respect and decency as a younger person when I realized he had something to give me.
Right.
From the second he met me, obviously I was, courteous, respectful, interested, genuinely in what was going on with his son. So by the time I asked, hey, could I take you out to lunch? He already kind of liked me a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that was my entry into, can I learn what you did? And of course, I don't agree with all the things he did now, having perspective, but he did a lot of things right. And it was snagging the things that he did right and learning from the things that even he would say he did incorrectly that led me to be where I am
So
now.
somehow innately you knew, okay, I'm not getting this, this decision-making process or this direction or guidance that I would like to have from whatever, my group of friends or my parents or whoever's around me now. And you consciously made the switch, if you will, in the decision, I need to go find someone. And then the world sent you this person.
Right. And again, you look at it, the things that were going on in my family, did I want those things to repeat? Okay. My mom hated her job. Okay. That didn't sound like fun. She didn't have other options. That didn't sound like fun. My dad worked like crazy. And again, I'm not putting down my dad, but he did work like crazy because we needed money and he had gotten himself in a position through, going to higher education. He became a doctor and, he went to it late. All of these things. It's like, okay, I don't want to end up at the point where I am working until 8 or 9 o'clock every single night. And again, not putting down people that work hard. Like we all need those people, but I wanted to see if I could build a different world and still have the same lifestyle and benefit from security.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
That's a phenomenal change. And we really need to stop and look at how difficult that is to make a change. It's much easier to surround ourselves with, just our friends or our family and go in that same direction. We actually have to break off, if you will. We have to look at a different direction if we want a different outcome. A lot of times what we haven't even looked forward to in the 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we don't have a plan. Last week we talked about financial plans. If we don't have a plan where we want to go, we're more likely to just follow these, if you will, role models that happen to be around us, rather than searching out and making a different course, choosing a different direction. I had similar upbringing to you. I mean, phenomenal parents, amazing family, but they didn't come from an investment point of view. My parents were both from relatively poor farming families back in South Dakota. So I remember, after I bought my first house and my dad kind of took note and he was happy for me. Then I bought my second house and he stopped me and he said, why does anybody need 2 houses?
Right.
And so I talked, my dad wasn't, he wasn't like trying to take anything away from me or slow me down, but he truly wanted to learn. And he looked at it and said, that makes sense. So you've got renters in the second house and the second house was actually nicer than the first house, but I had renters in the second house and they were buying it for me. So I didn't have it coming from parents, but I did have a couple of mentors that I was very blessed to have early in my life, and they brought me along in the investment world. So I guess the idea is this: it's so easy to fall into following role models because they're whatever. They're a popular singer. They're a popular sports star. They've got a lot of friends. Maybe we see somebody driving a very expensive car and make the assumption that they're very well off. When what do we usually find out?
Oh my gosh, the person driving the car has got nothing.
Yeah, it's all on credit. It's all none of it's paid for. All the bank owns it,
right?
But the bank's letting this person drive it because they're making payments.
What's the line? Big hat, no cattle.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm down in Texas, I hear that from my doctors down there. They're like, "Yep, big hat, no cattle."
Yeah.
So anyway, making a conscious effort to search out role models that are valuable for the endeavor we're trying to work through. Now, don't get me wrong. If I wanted to become a basketball star when I was 17, I would have gone and talked to some basketball stars. Some, if I had access to someone like that, at least the best player on our team, or maybe a college player. Gosh, if I had access to an NBA player, my Lord, that would be invaluable. But I'm probably not going to go to that same person and ask him about, I don't know what pizza I should buy.
Right.
Right. Shaq's out there selling pizzas.
Right.
And I mean, he's pretty successful. He sells a lot of pizzas. So a lot of people listen to an NBA star, for pizza advice.
You know who we should have listened to with pizza is Michael Phelps, because it was my understanding he ate something like 1 or 2 large pizzas a day as like his third snack of the day.
Yeah.
Like if that's somebody consuming 2 pizzas a day, we should have been like, hey, bro, who's got the best pepperoni? Who's got the best?
Yeah, it's Vinny down around the corner.
Right. Vinny
some
blew
Italian
up.
place.
Yeah.
No, it's so making that conscious effort, and then starting with maybe a small group, and what we do with our gatherings, our communities, we surround ourselves with people who are really good at making decisions in certain areas. So if we're going to have a financial gathering, guess what? We're going to have some really smart people there. And I love going to them and sitting and talking with these guys because they'll constantly come up with new ideas and give me new thoughts. Right. And they're not going to run me off on some, down the line, and don't get me started, but, you should buy this crypto, this get rich quick. Oh, I've got a cousin that's just killing it with this, multi-level marketing. It's amazing how many multimillionaires, they instantly made their money over 30 or 40 years. So we don't ever try the latest and the greatest because, and you can call me old school, whatever, but guess what? The path to legacy wealth, the path to generational wealth, if you want to pass it on to your kids, if you want to have money to give, not just your kids, to your grandkids, to start a foundation in your name, whatever, you're not going to do it with some fad. You're not going to do it over a year or 2 years. And so having these role models that say, yeah, I'm an overnight success. I've been at my career 37 years. That's the person I want to sit down with.
Right. Right.
When you look at, just you name it. Warren Buffett, 99 years old or 94 years old, however old he is, he's been doing it for 60 years, 70 years.
And the thing, if I may, the thing that has always impressed me about the people that stayed after it for 30 or 40 years, or in Buffett's case, even longer, the thing that was really important to me is not that they were able to amass a certain amount of money. It's that they were able to not screw up over that entire time, right? Like,
absolutely.
I think you could point to people and I could point to people who made a lot of money in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And they either turned around and lost it, or they're on a path to lose it. So it's knowing that the program doesn't only produce predictable results, but it also wards off poor decisions that could wipe you out very quickly.
And hopefully with role models, you're going to have people around you that encourage you to do the right thing, but also discourage you away from doing things, kind of harebrained schemes.
Right.
I'm always going with the odds. Okay. So if you come up with, get rich quick. This guy made whatever, you name it, couple $1 million in a year. Okay. Is that 1 in 1,000? Is that 1 in 10,000? How many people didn't make it? Right. I had one the other day, this gentleman, we were talking about his family and his kids, and he said, yeah, my son is absolutely certain he's going to be a rock star. And I said, man, that's great. So, it's probably 1 in a million. Literally 1 in a million. Right. Lots of people can sing, but how many are actually going to? So he's after 1 in a million. I would rather have the odds, a little better than that. I'm not going to put a lot of money on 1 in a million and expect it to hit. So when we have role models, it will guide us, if you will, and move us in a direction of, hey, this is a tried and true way to develop a successful life. And it can be whatever. It can, we talk about finance. Success doesn't have to be finance. I want to raise, my dream is to have 4 children, and I want to raise 4 amazing children. Well, who do I want to talk to about that? Do I want to talk to a bachelor that's never had a child?
Right.
No. We want to talk to people that have been successful at raising. I want to talk to a grandmother who has, whatever.
Crushed it. Yeah.
19 grandchildren, and they all love her and they all come to visit her, that kind of thing. I'll almost get emotional just having that picture of, a family together.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about role models, it's surround ourselves with people, and it might only be 1 or 2 people that can make the difference. Like in your life, in my life, literally it was 2 people that brought me along and made a difference in my life, and going from poor farmers in South Dakota to, having a very comfortable life. Right. So anyway, I think it's a very valuable thought to, we're not going to go out there and just try to hand pick and go, okay, there's a very successful people. Gosh dang it, I'm going to make that person, give me advice.
Right.
But just with a conscious ongoing effort to say, okay, I want to surround myself with people who are going to give me good advice, who are maybe going to discourage me away from making mistakes, and realize it's not the easy way. It's not, well, I'm going to follow my brother's 2 older friends or my parents. Yeah, follow your parents if they're wonderful and amazing at whatever you want to follow. But if they're not, then search out people who you can trust, who you can move forward with, and develop role models so that you can be brought along, you can trust them. And guess what? At some point, who are you going to be? You're going to be the elder. You're going to be the person dishing out the generational wisdom to the younger generation.
Right.
And that's really what we're after.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.